Chapter 1. Think Rich. When it comes to money, we kind of got used to thinking in very blunt black or white terms. Sadly, nuances are rather missing. That is because too often we resort to those poor words to define the concept of money or the people who are making it plentifully, good or bad. But let's dig a little deeper. It's probably to be expected that there is some difference in how the wealthy view this concept compared to the rest of us. A common tendency I've noticed with most people is to consider that the mentality, the life principles, and the system of beliefs of the rich have been shaped by their bank accounts. Nobody spends too much time wondering about the mentality, life principles, and system of beliefs of these people before they became wealthy. In the famous Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill draws attention to a universal law that, since 1937, when the book was first published, has become an increasingly popular topic in discussions about lifestyle, finances, and self-development: the law of attraction. Many only see it in an oversimplified manner. If you wish for something in your life, you set and write down the corresponding goals, which you then reinforce by reading them daily, and you will attract that something into your life. But this is just the first part of the process. The second part is all about the hard work and faith you need to invest to really manifest what you want in your life. Unfortunately, most people, even if they understand this attraction mechanism, fail at the second part. Leaving this aside, however, any change you want to bring starts with the way you think. Money is no exception. You've probably met the expression thinking poor, not poor thinking, although ultimately that's exactly what it is. That refers to a mindset focused on problems, not solutions, on insignificant things instead of high goals. A mindset that doesn't allow for willpower, aspiration, and desire for improvement to manifest and keep those who fall prey to it stuck in a poor financial situation. In The Rules of Money, Richard Templer says, "The lovely thing about money is that it really doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care what color or race you are, what class you are, what your parents did, or even who you think you are. Each and every day starts with a clean slate, so that no matter what you did yesterday, today begins anew, and you have the same rights and opportunities as everyone else to take as much as you want. The only thing that can hold you back is yourself and your own money myths." So, start asking yourself right away what money myths you have been giving yourself into. For example, says Templer, "If in our heart we believe, even subconsciously, that money is a bad thing, and having lots and lots of it is a really bad thing, then chances are we might be undermining our own efforts unwittingly to get lots of it." The fact is, while for most of us the definition of money is built around that something we receive in exchange for the work we are doing and give in exchange for things and services, for the rich and successful this definition gets a serious extension, as money becomes a means, not an end, a tool with which they shape up their life according to their vision. This attitude makes a lot of difference in their daily general and financial habits. A while ago, while reading a blog, I came across a simple example of this difference in mindsets and the results it can create. Let's say you have an extra $1 million lying around, and you decide you want to finance a new car. The car payments average out to be about $800 per month. Most people would simply buy the car outright or just start making the payments out of the extra $1 million they have lying around. But those with a mindset for wealth, who view money as a tool, might do something as simple as this: place the $1 million in a savings account that yields a 1% return, and then use the $833 per month accumulated interest to pay for the car. Instead of spending money on the car and taking away from that extra $1 million, the wealthy get to keep their $1 million and get the car too. Chapter 2. Get rid of your debts. If you're struggling with one or more credits, there are several ways to get rid of them in just a few steps. Before anything, you should stop adding more debt to the existing credit lines. This may require a great deal of effort from you, so try to reduce your shopping spree habits to a minimum. Pick up a piece of paper and organize your debts from the highest amount to the lowest. At first, you should concentrate all of your efforts on paying the top debts. Start with $30 to $40 and go up gradually until the debt is cleared. Each time you pay off your debt, take the time to acknowledge your victory and celebrate it. As we all know, credit card debts are the worst. Here, monthly interests are pretty high, so it should be your top priority to get rid of them. It may take quite a while until you've gotten rid of all your debts, but with a good plan, you can manage to get in the clear. Since we're talking about credit cards, I want to highlight the fact that when we pay with a credit card, we don't exactly realize the amounts of money we're spending. I don't advise cutting up your credit cards, but here's what you can do. Leave them at home. Lock them up if necessary. Give them to your neighbor for safekeeping if that's what it takes to stay away from recklessly spending more. Your attitude matters when it comes to clearing up debts. Change the "I can't get rid of this debt" into "I want and I can do it." Find the determination and willpower to eliminate the self-victimization factor. Keep your mind busy. Going shopping just for the sake of it because you're bored or you have nothing else to do will ultimately dig a deeper hole for you. Plus, you'll end up buying stuff that you don't really need anyway. Instead of watching TV, where you are constantly tempted by advertising and shopping channels, read a book, cook something for your family, take care of yourself, do some exercise. When it comes to spending money, because you can't really stop spending altogether, it's important to make a list of the things you really need. When you're in the mall, don't jump at the first products you see, but keep cool and look for discounts. Replace famous brands with less-known ones. They're cheaper and are basically designed to do the same thing. After all of your bills are paid, put some money aside. It doesn't matter how small or big the amount is. This emergency fund will come in handy at times of great need. Embrace a life of simplicity. The hard truth is that we're constantly bombarded with the idea of buying stuff. Like the more we own things that we don't need, the more our value as human beings grows. In fact, we're one step away from becoming a restless consumer that buys and buys and buys some more. If your job's paycheck is low, don't stop looking for better opportunities. Furthermore, you should always leave room for additional sources of income. If you have a talent, put it to good use. Chapter 3. Go for the best price. When it comes to haggling, many people get kind of reticent, and you might be one of them. But when after checking your account you get a confirmation that you're not the next Donald Trump, you might also get back your openness and willingness to improve your financial situation by learning new tricks. The main idea here is to never pay full price for something. I know, right now you might be frowning already, but believe me, once you get used to looking for ways to buy at a cheaper price, you will definitely feel it in your wallet. The starting point is this vital question: how much do I want to spend? Set your budget and then make it your purpose to get that deal that comes with the best possible value for the money you are spending. Afterwards, make sure you do your homework. That means researching the product you want to buy. It might come in different versions, some having more features which you don't need and being priced significantly higher. Ask yourself what features you really need your product to have and target the product that has them. Companies are putting out version after version of the same item packed with a plethora of new eye-catching features that, at a closer look, fail to have any relevance. Don't fall in that trap. Your research must include finding out all the sources you can buy the product from, as well as their price. In this respect, competition is a great thing because it keeps away the monopoly of one single company over a product for just one price. Never underestimate what simply talking to the store manager can get you. Also, wait with your shopping for the days when clearance sales are running. If you are set to find the best price available for what you want, then shop around. The magic word? Sales. When there's something you really want bad, don't forget you might find it on sale. The skills you develop by becoming a good negotiator will be put to good use in many aspects of your life, and you will certainly see the value of them right away. So you should always be looking to sharpen those skills. Learn from others who are better negotiators than you. Pay attention to those around you who are experienced in negotiation. Make it a fun game to explore this side of you. Also remember that you'll never be thrown out of a shop just for asking for a discount, considering that you do it in a friendly, polite manner, of course. You might also think that the rich don't bargain since they can afford it. Wrong. They are very good at it, and they never shy off from trying on their skills. More often than not, they got where they are because they learned how to be good negotiators. When you manage to get the deal you wanted, the feeling of satisfaction you experience goes beyond the money you saved. It has a lot to do with a considerable increase in your confidence. Don't get discouraged if you don't get those great deals from your first attempts. Nobody did. It's a matter of practice and patience. Everything's always on sale if you know how to ask nicely, says Mark Elwood, author of Bargain Fever, and he knows what he's talking about. Chapter 4. Money covers needs, not wants. Being money conscious and being stingy are two different things. Putting some wisdom in your spending will prevent you from unpleasant financial situations caused by precipitated purchases or irresponsible investments. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to mind your budget when it comes to major expenses, such as your car, a costly item, or a trip. In society today, there's such an induced frenzy for having the latest, the biggest, the best, and the most expensive. Whether it is a phone, a car, a job, or an important event such as a wedding. Having the best of everything can be quite tempting, but is it all worth it? Especially since it will be a lot of hard work, stress, and time away from your loved ones to pay it with, and maybe not even that will cover it. There was this friend of mine I'd known since college. He had always been a bit of a show-off. Now he had a pretty nice SUV of which he was openly proud. He never wasted an opportunity to brag about its capabilities, but at the same time, he was always complaining about the freaking money this monster eats up each month. Hearing him complain about the expenses so often, and knowing his financial situation was not really flourishing, I asked him why he wasn't considering swapping it for something less costly. You wouldn't believe it, but it actually came as a big surprise for him. At first he was like, "What? Give up my car? No." But guess what? A few weeks later he was driving a really good-looking, much cheaper family car. I know it doesn't always work like that, but the main thing here is that sometimes the best way to make money is to sow your pockets. As Warren Buffett once said, if you buy things you don't need, you will soon sell things you need. Rest assured, you're not the only one. There's a financial extrovert in all of us who just feels the urge, at least from time to time, to go on a spending spree. Stop feeling guilty, but stop indulging the creature as well. It likes to hide behind the word must, which is used next to things such as lifestyle habits, special occasions, family treats, social obligations, impulsive decisions, the be-in-the-moment type, etc. Know that there are armies of people studying the psychology of the buyer-consumer and who develop market strategies to exploit this type of weaknesses, often managing to make the consumers feel that they really need that certain item and they feel good about themselves for making such a smart choice. Think of those energy drinks advertised as a key to a fuller, more optimistic life. What are you buying into when you are buying something? Before jumping to huge expenses, ponder if you really need that thing as much as you think you do, and if its value really meets the costs. Chapter 5. Set up your savings automatic transfer. It's easy to forget or overlook putting some money aside each month, but not anymore. Utilizing a tad bit of computerization and having your budgetary establishment do it for you can make your life a whole lot easier. The easiest way to save money is by setting up an automatic savings account. It helps building up your extra budget without burdening your mind with choosing a certain amount of money each month. Having your mind freed of this task, you have time to set up real goals with real planning. Your objectives get to be all the more effectively achievable since you don't need to second figure or belittle the extent to which you truly need to spare. You can plan ahead while your savings are automatically transferred to the account. There are several ways to set up an automatic transfer. You can either call the bank and ask for one, or log into your bank account, online banking. Furthermore, to be sure that you're not spending more than you should, I advise talking to your employer and setting a certain amount from your paycheck to go directly into this savings account. I used this method in the past, and after 2 years, I managed to cash in a really nice amount of money. At first, I started with 1% to 2% taken from my income for several months, and then I went up another 2%. Once this becomes a habit, you'll easily save up money for rainy days. Every now and then, check your balance. It will make you feel good and keep you determined to add more to it. Moreover, here's something that few know. Opening an automatic savings account to an online bank is better than having one at other financial institutions, because the interest rate is usually higher. Keep in mind that it's not easy to keep this retirement emergency fund untouched. Start with a goal before anything, and as you build the account up each month, you can add more goals to your list. If you're saving for an IRA, be sure to always keep track of your inputs for tax purposes. Speaking of which, Chapter 6. Maintain accurate financial records. It is extremely important to keep track of all your financial activities. In that regard, consider keeping copies of your loan documents, loan transfer notices, applications, and so on. Receipts from important or expensive purchases, items that come with a warranty, appliances, furniture, etc., and anything of importance. If you're a student, it's crucial to save all of your loan documents. They will provide you with the information you need, how much money you owe, and how much you have to pay each month. I also recommend keeping a notebook with logs of all of your discussions with the institution representative that loans you money. Include a date and time to each one. That way, you'll avoid any unpleasant surprises. By doing your own bookkeeping, you reduce your costs to a minimum. You have more control over what you spend and what you save, and you build a better understanding of your financial operations. Update and track any changes that are made. There are 2 ways to create this financial log, if you will, the classic way and the modern way. If you don't trust a notebook, someone could steal it from you or you could lose it, consider accounting software programs. Now, given the fact that you may have various financial records, it's important to set up a system so that you'll be able to organize them by categories. That way, you can easily access them at any time without trashing your place up for a silly bill or contract. I find it easy using different colored files for different documents. As such, I organize them according to their importance. For instance, if I need a contract, I know that I can find it in the red file. It's also useful to further expand the categories you already have. For example, it's wise to be able to keep track of both your earnings and expenses. Create 2 separate categories for them. Ultimately, these 2 categories can be broken down into smaller classes. Your income, for example, can be classified into files for each contribution that you've made, accompanied by a separate file for individual donations. To avoid being buried alive underneath a big pile of papers and files, I urge you to take a look over all of your financial records once a year. Determine which ones need to be destroyed and which ones you need to keep. For important records, turn to your governmental guidelines so that you're informed about what to keep and for how long. In the U.S., for example, the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, has the national guidelines published on their official website. Their policy states that all organizations should keep their financial records for at least 7 years, unless they don't file an information return or tax. They have to keep them indefinitely in this case. Also of interest is that donors could also ask you to keep records for a given number of years. They are subject to regular audits and annual financial returns. So it shouldn't come as a surprise if they ask for the proper documentation over a grant that you've received years ago. Furthermore, just like you make copies of your physical documents, you should also back up all of your electronic records, USB stick, DVD, CD, etc. Last but not least, I will emphasize that keeping track and copies of all these documents can be tiresome and demanding. You will need a lot of determination to do it, but the advantages are worth it. Better to have invested time than to be unprepared when the government comes knocking for your papers. Chapter 7. Live frugally. Frugality. It always comes with a certain mindset. This mindset's favorite words are less is more, and it doesn't give them up even when the income and net worth are high up there. Frugal living is not just about saving money, it's also about being in a very certain state of mind. While we can decide to make more efforts to increase our earnings without making efforts to get into wise spending habits, there are little chances that our wealth will grow significantly. Frugality means looking for those holes where money is leaking and covering them. It doesn't mean ceasing to have quality and fulfillment in your life. I certainly agree with Elise Boulding when she says that frugality is one of the most beautiful and joyful words in the English language, and yet one that we are culturally cut off from understanding and enjoying. For her, the consumption society has made us feel that happiness lies in having things, and has failed to teach us the happiness of not having things. That is a solid point right there. Because of this type of perception that has been instilled by society, for some, being a millionaire is synonymous with obscenely expensive mansions and rolling in a gold Rolls-Royce. So it may come as a surprise for them that most millionaires don't have a lot in common with that image. Yes, very often, even for millionaires, the key word remains saving, not spending. You have probably met more millionaires in your life than you dare believe. This is because they live frugally, choosing not to flash their money around, but instead going a little below their means. Living below your means when you are a millionaire is definitely not the same with living below your means when you're making $20,000 a year. But even if you're not Bill Gates, developing this habit of keeping your spending at a minimum will help you maximize your wealth. According to Dr. Thomas J. Stanley, co-author of The Millionaire Next Door, The Surprising Secrets of America's Wealthy, a book based on more than 2 decades of surveys and personal interviews with millionaires, hard work, smart savings, and living below your means are the main factors behind most of the wealth in the USA. If you think only those weird millionaires you've never heard about live a frugal life, then think again. I've read an interview with Jay Leno where he said he put all the money he made from The Tonight Show into a savings account. He only uses the money he earns from the stand-up comedy engagements for his daily needs. Leno said that he got into this habit while working 2 jobs at McDonald's and at a Ford dealership. Conclusion. If you ask anyone who is not satisfied with their current financial situation if they are willing to make some changes to improve their life, and if they are willing to learn about what those changes are, most of them will answer affirmatively. However, the truth is that the most important change that needs to be made is one that very few are even capable of understanding because of the thinking system they have been tributary to all their life, and because they refuse themselves the freedom of trying a different perspective. Few people are aware of this change needed to get things moving in their money landscape. Fewer have a go at it, and even fewer are persistent enough to see that it actually works and is the basis of all financial wisdom. This is because this change requires that you give up your belief system, and that is something people find anything but easy. Whether you feel determined to act and change your lifestyle is not that relevant in the end, as it is the determination that comes from the understanding that your thinking is causing all the problems. And it is that which needs changing. You can see a lot of people trying to motivate themselves into doing some workout, but in the end, most of them fail at making it a habit because what they tried was a forced change that didn't have the support of a genuine understanding of how their body works and how physical activity affects the mind and vice versa, of how life can be enjoyed more if your body and mind work better. When it comes to financial changes that can really work, the same rules apply. You can adopt, for a period of time, some habits which are supposed to make your wallet happier, but unless you truly get to master those habits from within, by working on a perception level with yourself every day towards a greater goal, that of making more of life so you can also share more of life, you will fall back to your old habits and mind setting as soon as there is an interruption on your new practice. One thing to always keep in mind: those habits of yours, even more important, the system of beliefs, the perception, the way of thinking, your outlook on life, however you may want to call it, they are the ones that led to your current financial situation. You probably know how Einstein defined insanity: doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Switching to a different mindset when pursuing different results from the ones you've been getting so far actually means switching for sanity. Are you ready and willing to become financially sane? Moreover, no progress can be made until a real understanding of the causes that brought that situation is also pursued. Until you know what mistakes you make, how can you avoid them? The answer is simple: you can't. In order to switch to a different attitude and a different way of thinking about money, you need to investigate your past decisions related to money, your spending habits, your way of perceiving wealth, your way of looking at wealthy people, and ultimately your way of looking at yourself, your self-worth, your confidence, your goals, your qualities, and your flaws. Only then the information presented here, as any new information you will find and decide to incorporate in your life, can truly be worked with to give you the best results. There are 3 sides to this process: getting the information, knowing how to use and apply the information, and using and applying the information. The first aspect is linked to your open-mindedness and your willingness to change and improve your life. The second aspect is linked to the mindset used to apply the new information. And the third aspect is linked to the consistency and the practicality that transform the information into efficient actions. There are no shortcuts for success. There is also hard work and determination, but there can be smarter and easier ways to succeed where working and managing your actions wisely can replace working harder and harder. I know from personal experience how hard it is to make room for new habits, and especially for a new perception through which to filter your life's inputs and outputs. I know that it is one thing to read a book on something and another to successfully apply the information from that book. And there's so much information these days, useful or not, pouring in from all sides. So much competitiveness, so much stress, and apparently so little time to cope with everything around you, that putting together bits and pieces to make a healthy whole, even after digesting a book that can actually help you, can prove too hard. That's why I chose a simple structure for my book, because I believe there are a lot of financial advice books out there to suit everyone's needs in terms of approach, information, and structure. And with a little research, you can add to your personal financial library in a short time some really great books. However, sometimes the torrent of such material on the market can really be overwhelming, and not every one of those books can speak your language or be genuinely useful. Personally, I can declare myself happy if through my little book I will manage to make you see those small tweaks in your financial approach that can give you the greatest benefits for your wealth and make you feel that you are making real progress in a short time. Note that this is not a get-rich-quick material. There's plenty of that out there if that's what you're looking for. The secret here is that this quick progress comes by the shift in the mentality the book aims at. Changing the way you interpret money will make you advance more than adopting some fast money-making scheme that only helps you remain stuck in a defective mindset about money. We started this book with a Benjamin Franklin quote, and we're going to end it with another one. Let this be the guiding rule of your financial management each day. Take care of the pennies, and the dollars will take care of themselves.